Good morning, everyone. I am happy to have you here with our first Wednesday webinar. My name is Yokiko, and I work at the Washington Student Achievement Council. With me today, I have Christina Winstead, who's going to be presenting today. I first want to welcome you and thank you so much for participating. Please leave all of your questions to be put into the chat mode so we can take them in real time, and then we will answer them at the end. This is the first of our Wednesday webinar series, which we will be doing once a month through the rest of the academic year. And so now I'm going to hand it off to Christina so we can get this webinar started.
Okay, good morning. So my name is Christina Winstead, and I'm the Program Associate for Outreach at the Washington Student Achievement Council. I'm excited to talk to you today about some financial aid updates that you should expect here for the 2017-18 school year. So the Washington Student Achievement Council, we're a state agency. We advocate for economic, social, and civic benefits of post-secondary education. We used to be called the Higher Education Coordinating Board. We're really excited to work with you guys and provide opportunities for students in Washington State. So the first thing people ask me is, why is financial aid important? We know this, but we know that in Washington by 2020, 70% of the available jobs are going to require at least a post-secondary credential. And we know that we want our students to be prepared for those jobs in the future. We want them to have those awesome livable wage jobs that they love. Also, students who complete the FAFSA, typically at a 90% rate, enroll in a post-secondary institution within 1 year of high school graduation. So we know if they complete the FAFSA with a WASFA, that there's a higher chance of them actually going towards that post-secondary credential. And then also we want to make sure that students have access to higher education by receiving the funding they need for the classes, for their degrees and for their career pathways. So in 2013-14, we had 161,000 students receive $1.9 billion in financial aid assistance in Washington alone. So we know why this is important. We want to make sure that students know this as well, because of course you can get those questions of like, why do I need to fill out a financial aid application? Because we want you guys to be successful and have as many opportunities available to you as possible. So the first change with the 2017-18 financial aid is going to be the release date, which has already happened, and I'm really excited to tell you that we have already in Washington State, 11% of our seniors have completed the FAFSA successfully without errors. So I know that students know about this. All that hard work that you guys have been doing to let people know about the new release date has been amazing. And so I'm really excited to see students knowledgeable about the new dates and about all the work that needs to happen for them to be able to receive financial aid. Another change is going to be that students are going to use their 2015 taxes, just like they did in their 16-17 FAFSA. They're going to use their 2015 taxes for their 17-18 FAFSA, and same thing with the WASFA. So this means that instead of having to go back into the system and update their taxes after estimating them when first submitting the FAFSA, they'll be able to submit the FAFSA using the data retrieval tool, just using the taxes that they already have completed. Most families should have their 2015 taxes completed. I'm hoping, we're crossing our fingers. And so they have to have completed them within the last 3 weeks in order to use that data retrieval tool. The data retrieval tool allows a student or a parent to transfer their 2015 tax information directly into the FAFSA. This helps in creating a more accurate data for their FAFSA, as well as it makes it a shorter, easier process. Plus, when that information is transferred directly from the federal government, it alleviates concerns that parents will have about giving out the same information again, very sensitive financial information. Again, the WAFSA is going to follow the same timeline. So the WAFSA was released on October 1st. We'll talk more about that. So both the FAFSA and WAFSA from now on will be released on October 1st. Of course, students are going to want to apply for financial aid every single year that they are going to be attending school. So just so you can kind of see with the FAFSA, what the tax years are going to be for tax information and what year the FAFSA they'll submit for those FAFSAs. So for this current year, for students who are going to be attending the 17-18 school year, they're going to use their 2015 taxes. That means that they can submit it anytime between October 1st and June 30th, 2018. And then if they're going to be attending school 2018 to 2019, they're going to use their 2016 taxes. So this year we'll have 2015 taxes used twice for 2016 for 16-17 and 17-18. But next year we will be using the 2016 taxes. Again, this will help students in being able to use that data retrieval tool and not have to go back in and update their tax information after submitting taxes. The website that students are going to want to go to complete the FAFSA is www.fafsa.ed.gov. We want to make sure we're referring students to the correct website so that they are not being charged for completing a free application. It's the free application for student aid, not the $80 application for student aid. So we want to make sure students are on the correct page. And this can be tricky sometimes. They have cleaned up a lot of the for-profit sites that were out there that were charging students to complete the FAFSA. But I always remind students for financial aid, if they are paying money to submit a free application, it's probably going not to be the most savvy thing. We want to make sure they're not paying any money to apply for financial aid. The whole point of this is to be able to receive funds to go to school. At any point in time when a student's completing the FAFSA, if they are struggling or have questions, the fifth tab at the very top of the financial aid application has a help bar with trending questions, general questions, and it also lists everything you need before you begin your FAFSA. It has information about the data retrieval tool, because I know that that can be confusing at times for people, so we want to make sure they understand why the data retrieval tool is such an important tool to use in completing your FAFSA. It definitely reduces the amount of time it takes to complete a FAFSA, which is great. But they have all frequently asked questions, as well as infographics to help you understand who the parent in your family is going to be, if the student is dependent or independent. These infographics are great to print up for FAFSA nights and maybe leave one on each computer table so that people can walk themselves through some of these harder to answer questions. So in Washington State, we're really fortunate because we have two different financial aid applications. We want to provide financial aid opportunities for all students. So we have, of course, the federal application, the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, but we also have the Washington application for state financial aid. And so that is for our dreamers. The thing is students can only complete one application. There can be only one. So you have to either complete the FAFSA or the WASFA, but students cannot complete both. Again, students can only complete one application. It needs to be the application that they qualify for. I say this because I've had students who are very savvy about getting money for school and they're very concerned about paying for college. And so they tell me, Miss Winstead, I'm going to double down and apply for both. That's not going to help them. It's actually going to hinder them. They have to make sure they only complete one or the other. If a student's unsure about completing the FAFSA or the WASFA, there is actually a decision tree, a bunch of questions they will ask you in the WASFA to determine whether you need to complete the WASFA if you qualify for WASFA or for the FAFSA. So what is a WAFSA? The WAFSA is the Washington Application for State Financial Aid. It's for students who are ineligible to complete the FAFSA due to immigration status. In 2016, we're really excited. We have a brand new tool, a brand new application tool for students to use. WSAC pays for the WAFSA application fee, so there is no fees to apply for WAFSA or for the FAFSA. It is an online application. This is great for students to be able to do. They do them at the same time as the FAFSA. If you're having a FAFSA night at your school, if you're going to be doing one at your high school, make sure that I encourage you to contact your local colleges to see if you can get a dreamer expert to come out to assist your students who are eligible for the WAFSA. With the WAFSA, I also encourage you, you may not even know your students who are eligible for the WAFSA. Our dreamers can come from all different backgrounds. So we want to make sure that when we're working with our students, our dreamers, that we are assessing which application they need to complete. And also, we want to make sure that sometimes this information can be very sensitive and very private. So when you're working with students on this, especially if you have a FAFSA night, maybe possibly if you can have an extra office where students could come in and talk in a more private space about maybe any concerns they have about the WAFSA, or as they're releasing any sensitive information, I really encourage you to be mindful about the students' privacy and confidentiality. When you're working with students on this stuff, all this is going to be confidential, so I encourage you to just be mindful because this can be a very frightening process for some families when applying for state financial aid. So this is the new WASFA application tool. We're really excited about this tool because it makes the WAFSA reflect the FAFSA application process much more than the previous one. Students can, in this process, sign electronically their WAFSA application now, as well as their parents can sign electronically. So students will have an option to complete the 16-17 WAFSA or the 17-18 WAFSA. If you are working with seniors this year, they're going to be completing the 17-18 WAFSA, not the 16-17. Same with the FAFSA. We want to make sure there's going to be multiple years of financial aid applications open, that they're completing the correct year for that application so that they're making sure that they're getting the funding for the year that they're going to be in school. This website's great because it really lays out the process for the WASFA. They have a key here that will tell you if where the student is in the process, if they're ready to have a parent sign, if they're ready to sign the application, if they've started it, if they haven't. So it's very clear where they are in the process and what their next steps are. Once a student completes the WAFSA, what they're going to want to do is it's going to show a third tab available for them under Actions, and that's going to be inviting a parent to sign electronically the WAFSA. So a parent can sign the WAFSA electronically, but they have to be invited to do so, and that they do by clicking the middle icon there. And so all the icons have a key up at the top, and so they're just going to click the one that says invite a parent to sign an application, and that's after the student has completed the WAFSA themselves. So it's still going to be incomplete until there's a parent's signature on there, just like with the FAFSA. So for the FAFSA, the first step to applying for financial aid for the FAFSA is going to be applying for your FSA ID. The FSA ID is a secure login for a student to be able to access their FAFSA, complete their FAFSA, and update their FAFSA. This is an ID that's going to be obtained by the student, as well as a separate account that's going to be obtained by the parent. If a parent already has an FSA ID because they've completed a FAFSA for a previous student or they've completed their own FAFSA, they only need to get that once. So if you have one FSA ID, then you're good to go. You don't need to keep recreating them. Only once do you need to create an FSA ID. When a student creates an FSA ID, there's a couple things we want them to be mindful of. Number one, their email account. So if they are using their high school email account, they will not have access to that after they graduate typically, and then all of a sudden they're not getting the communications they need to update their financial information, things like that. So we want students to create their own personal email address. They're going to be seniors. They're also going to need this for admissions. Another thing I want them to be mindful of is this is a great time for them to create an appropriate email address. So we're talking about an email address that will not make an admissions officer blush. So they want to be thoughtful about the email address they're selecting. Both the parent and the student need separate email addresses. So we can't be the parent's email address and then you can't create two FSA IDs with the same email address because they will verify and connect that FSA ID to the email address. So they're going to create a username and password. They're going to enter in their email address. It's going to ask them demographic information, their birth date, social security number, if their contact information, and then they're going to have challenge questions, and then they're going to answer those questions. Two of those challenge questions are going to be questions that they get to pick the question and then answer it. Two of those questions are questions they completely make up themselves. And then they have to also select an important date. That important date that they list cannot be their birthday. So in this process, we have a FSA ID worksheet that students can use to remember all of those challenge questions. We had students that completed their FSA IDs last year, and those challenge questions, writing them down is really important because sometimes students will forget what they put down for their challenge question. So you might have a student who comes to you and says, I can't remember the answer to this challenge question, and it may say, I had a student that said, like, my favorite Pokemon is ... And the student swore, like, I don't like Pokemon. Like, well, when you filled this out in the spring, you were obviously a Pokemon master because every challenge question you have in here is about Pokemon. So they will forget what they wrote down, and that's why we have them use the FSA ID worksheet. That worksheet's available at our Ready, Set, Grad website, as well as in the student workbooks through the 12th year campaign. So for the FSA ID, in completing the FSA ID, we're going to go back one more so we can see the steps of the FSA ID. The FSA ID is required to complete the FAFSA, and so both the parent and the student are going to need the FSA ID. They're going to create a username and password utilizing their email addresses. That email address has to be separate from the parent and the student. They can't use the same email address. You have to, for this, I encourage you, for your students, to not use their high school email address because they won't have access to that after they graduate from high school. They're going to want to create their username and password. They're going to enter their name, date of birth, social security number, and contact information, and then they have these challenge questions. The challenge questions are, 2 of them are questions that they're going to create themselves, and 2 are questions they can select from. So I encourage students to use our FSA ID worksheet to remember the challenge questions that they've selected and the answers that they've selected. In addition, they're also going to have to select an important date that they will remember. That date cannot be their birthday, so they have to think of an important date. If the parent has the student PIN from before, maybe they had a student in their household before and they already got a PIN, they can create an FSA ID and they can link it to their PIN. For this process, again, I encourage, on our Ready, Set, Grad website, we have FSA ID worksheets, and they're also in our student workbook. This will help them create their FSA ID, and it walks them through the process. When a student's creating their new email address or a personal email address, I also encourage them to think about, because this is an email address they'll probably use for admissions, to pick an appropriate email address that will not make an admissions officer blush, because that has happened. As someone who's worked in colleges before, there have been quite a few that make me blush, and I just don't want to see anyone's chances to get into school, decrease because they have picked a poor email address. So it's time to make a nice professional email address. If you're working with students, and you're struggling with the FSA ID, there are several ways to receive assistance. In the FSA ID, they're going to want to either email studentaid@ed.gov. This is going to be for general inquiries. This means that they're not going to get their accounts reset or private information sent to them. If they want that, they're going to have to call the 1-800 number, 1-800-557-7394. And there's also a chat option, which students love. But if a student's struggling with their FSA ID, they're going to need to contact them to receive assistance. Students need to make sure that they are using their correct social security number. So I one time had students, when I was doing a session, where I walked by a student and I overheard, I don't know what my social security number is, just make it up. No, this is not where they make that up. This is where they know it's on their social security card and they're using the same name that matches their social security card, because they're going to match it in the system. So if a student doesn't know their social security number, that's okay, but they're not going to be able to complete the FSA ID that day. I also encourage you during FAFSA nights, if you're going to have a FAFSA event, to try to, if you can, have a couple computers set aside just for FSA IDs, and maybe open your computer lab a little bit early, like 30 minutes early, to have FSA ID time. Because typically if students and parents don't have their FSA ID when they come to a workshop, and they spend that time completing the FSA ID, they'll have less time to actually complete the FAFSA. And we really want them to complete the FAFSAs at the workshop while they have help from their specialists in the area. Okay, now we're going to talk about the 12th year campaign. The 12th year campaign is an umbrella term over the college application campaign, which is a national campaign, College Go Washington, and the FAFSA Completion Initiative. These are 3 tools for schools to use to be able to increase their FAFSA completion rates as well as their WASFA completion rates and their college admissions application rates. We encourage all students to complete at least 3 college applications and either a FAFSA or a WAFSA. This increases their opportunities to see what kind of and compare financial aid awards and admissions awards. So they can see what schools they got into and then compare their award letters to make an informed decision on what's going to be the best financial decision for them for their education. The 12th year campaign, our website's at Ready, Set, Grad, and we have that at the end. We have a lot of resources for you, and we're really excited to help you identify anything that you may need. Also, we're happy to help you with your if you're having an event and you're trying to connect to volunteers, we're happy to help with that as well. But we want to make sure we have those resources for you. If you're looking for a resource for financial aid at your school and you're struggling to find one, before you go and create anything, let us know, because we might have that resource already or be able to point you in the right direction. So the FAFSA Completion Initiative, what it does is it allows participating school districts who have a data sharing agreement signed to receive student-specific data for some of their staff. And so over 90% of districts have returned data usage agreements, which is awesome. Thank you so much, districts. We're excited to work with you, and you can receive information on student-specific information on if your student has completed the FAFSA, has not completed the FAFSA, or completed the FAFSA with errors. So what this will allow you to do is to be able to identify students that may be completed with errors and then provide them additional assistance to correct those errors. You can also do targeted interventions for your students that maybe haven't completed the FAFSA by a certain date. So you might be able to set yourself some data goals and then come up with some targeted interventions to help those students who are struggling to complete the FAFSA. As you can see here, this is our aggregate data. So anyone can have access to aggregate data through our website. So if your school doesn't have a data sharing agreement signed, that's okay. Or maybe you're a CDO and you want access to this, you can access the aggregate data. You can view FAFSA completion rates by district, by school, and by year. So you can see historical data as well as current data. The schools, it'll show you the students that have processed their applications successfully, submitted with errors, or haven't completed the FAFSA at all. As you can see, we're really excited about this. So the FAFSA opened up October 1st, and we have over 10,000 students who have completed their FAFSA successfully, which is great. That's 10,000 students that have great opportunities for post-secondary education, and they've gotten their funding applications in. We did have, though, as you can see, almost 1,200 students that submitted with errors. And so we want to make sure we can identify those students and assist them with the process so that they can get their information in successfully. And when you are looking at maybe targeted interventions, we have a lot of different resources available for you to engage your students in the FAFSA and college-going behavior. So we have a lot of opportunities when working with your students. So how the FAFSA Completion Initiative works is a district will return a data usage agreement to us, and they'll have a district point person. So that's the person that's going to be responsible for creating accounts within that district. We can also, with permission of that point person, create accounts through the Washington Student Achievement Council. So if you're looking for an account for the FAFSA portal, you can always contact us or your data point person. This will give you access to student-level FAFSA completion data. And then, of course, anyone can get that aggregate data online at our website as well. So the resources I was talking about before through the 12th year campaign includes posters, student workbooks, postcards, a little bit of everything. We have information in multiple languages, which is great too. We have webinars to help you. We have resource guides and toolkits for events. So if you're going to have a FAFSA night, we have a really comprehensive toolkit that will give you pre-created press releases, sign-in sheets, activities that you can be doing, a little bit of everything to help you have a successful FAFSA night. All you have to do is sign up through our Ready, Set, Grad website as a site. You can participate at 3 different levels. We have sites that are participating with both the College Application Campaign and College Go Washington. We have sites that can sign up just as College Go Washington. And then we have a third option for sites where you are going to be utilizing our resources but are kind of doing your own thing but want to see what we have to be able to help support you. So I encourage you to sign up through our Ready, Set, Grad website under 12th Year Campaign, and then we'll connect with you all of our digital materials, and then our sites that are participating can also order some of our physical copies as well. When you have a FAFSA night and you're a 12th Year Campaign site, students, we have a survey for them to take, and if 10 or more students complete that survey, then they're able to get a report back to the school showing them that data. So 10 or more students complete that, then you'll get that data back to you, and that will happen somewhere around January. All of these materials are all digital as well, so if you're needing a poster for an event, or maybe you're needing the next steps for your students for financial aid or for admissions, those are all going to be digital as well. So we can assist you in this process by, we have lots of trainings. We are participating in the webinars through OSPI. We have a line by line. I know that you guys are probably really excited about seeing line by line information on the FAFSA and WASFA. So we have a line by line presentation as well, where you can see everything that your students are going to be seeing in this application process. And we walk through it step by step. And there's a webinar right on our website, and it's great for training your volunteers for your events, as well as educating yourselves about the changes to the FAFSA and really getting into the nitty-gritty line-by-line pages. We have our printed posters and postcards. We have stickers that say I applied for you to give out to students. Our resource guides help you connect and do connect you to communities to be able to leverage maybe donations, things, and as well as activity ideas. So we've had some wonderful activities through our schools here, and they've been able to share those with us and our best practices. And then also we're a contact. We're here to help you. So if you're struggling, if you're like, you know, I don't like what our FAFSA numbers look like, I would like to increase those, let us know. We're happy to help you. This is what we want. We want your students to have these opportunities, and we're really excited to help you with them. We also have a upcoming training. We have the Pave the Way Conference. It's November 1st and 2nd. It's going to be in Tacoma, and it's a wonderful way for you to stay connected and updated with all the changes that are happening, not just with the FAFSA. And of course, if you have questions, you can always contact me. My email is right there at the top, christinaw@wasac.wa.gov. We have our websites right there at the top. wasac.wa.gov is where you'll be able to connect to that FAFSA aggregate data. Ready, Set, Grad's where you're going to be able to find that 12th Year Campaign information. Gear Up has amazing resources, and so you can access those as well, even if you're not a Gear Up school. They're happy to share them. The Washboard has all of your scholarship information, as well as the information is listed in 10 different languages. Of course, we're on Twitter and we're on Facebook, and we're here to help. So please, if you have any questions, please ask us. We want to make sure you have everything you need to provide your students with those opportunities. And if there's something that you need that we don't have already, we'd love to be able to provide that resource to you. So what I'll go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and mute the mic and end our presentation here, and then start answering some of those questions that we received through our chat box. Thank you guys so much for spending your time here with us to learn about these FAFSA and WASFA updates and financial aid updates. We're so excited to have you guys working with us, and if you need anything, please let us know. Thank you so much.